you ever feel like there just isn't enough time in the day and that there's just no way for you to get everything that you have to do done, then I'm so glad that you're here, because in this video, I am going to share the one book that you need to read right now. Greetings and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Nicolette, and if this is your first time visiting this channel and you're interested in receiving more of my videos on mindset, mindfulness, and motivation for being, doing, and serving with intention, then be sure to subscribe and to turn on your notification bell so you won't miss the next video. So let's get into today's session. So if you've ever felt like there just isn't enough time and that you have more things to do than more time in which to get them done, then this is definitely a book that you should read. So most of the, I would say all of the productivity and self-management skills that I have collected over my years here on Earth have come from a series of different books and thought leaders on self-management, time management, getting things done, project management, system workflow creators, and such. So over time, I have assembled my own ways of doing things and have put together a lot of the different best practices from all of the different recommendations and have come up with what works for me. However, if you are just getting started, sort of testing out some of the different ways of doing things and managing your time, then you're in luck, because I have so many book recommendations for you. And I want to start with one of my most recent reads, and I highly recommend it. So this book is called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. You can find the link for that at Amazon down in the description. So I just want to share a few of the key points with you, just to get you interested in reading the rest of it on your own, because there are so many good points that he makes, but I just want to share a few of the points that stuck out for me. So one of the main points that he raises in the book is that in this life that we live, everyone sort of prides themselves on being busier than the next person. I know at one point in my life, I was also in that category. You sort of judge how well you were doing or how successful you were by how busy you were. It seemed like the more things you had to do, the better your life. It's like, oh, I'm so busy. It means that I have all these things to do, all these wonderful opportunities. And while to some extent that may be so, because you still can be very busy, my goal now for my life is to not be busy. It's to actually be productive and to be effective in pursuit of the things that I really have to do, and the things that will move me closer to achieving my aspirational goals, and not only my, fulfilling my daily to-dos and to-das, which I talk about in another video called One Effective Way to Create Your Day. But for right now, I want to talk about 3 key points that he makes in the book. One of the key points he says that we need to focus more on is doing less, but doing less much better. So we know the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. And that sort of plays into it. It means that, we're doing so many different things that we're not really building any mastery in one thing, because we're spreading ourselves so thin with doing multiple things. And sure, as a person who is highly multi-passionate, there's so many things that I love, so many things that I love to do, so many things that I'm good at. I love to be able to do all of them. However, again, in thinking about where I want to go with my life, the things that I really want to dedicate my time to, it is better for us to scale that back and to focus more on what we truly want to improve on and what we want to get better in, so that we can have a level of competency and confidence in fewer things, as opposed to just a smattering of different skill sets, but no real mastery in any one particular thing. A second point that he brings up is that we need to disabuse ourselves of the notion of doing all the things. And I know that, again, I share what I am guilty of and what I am recovering from. This is also something that I am a recovering all the things person. I love being able to do many things. However, thinking that we can do all the things causes us a lot of stress and unnecessary stress because there is no reason for us to do all of the things. So we need to, first of all, think of the fact that we don't need to do everything. And I'm going to share with you a couple of questions to ask yourself at the end to help you work through that process. We don't need to do everything. So that's number one. And we shouldn't be doing everything. And we should not feel that we need to do everything. So we need to banish those thoughts from our minds. One of the other points that he mentions is that we also need to question ourselves and question the things that we do, because many of the things that we do are simply unnecessary. And again, the questions that I'm going to share with you will help you to think about a lot of the things that you do and to figure out where they fall. And then another point, and this is the one that I'm going to leave with you, is that once we have created those ideas around the fact that we can do less without guilt, we don't have to feel bad for not getting everything done, and that we really need to take the time to think about the ways in which we are spending our time and our energy. Once we've done that, we need to establish what he calls fences and routines. I am an advocate of establishing good routines, because once something becomes a routine and it's habit, we don't even have to think about it. We just do it. Fences are boundaries around our yeses and around our no's. So we need to think about those things that we say yes to. And while yes is a positive word, we often think of it in terms of, if I say yes to something, it means saying no to something else. But it's liberating to be able to say yes to something and no to something else. And by the same token, it goes the other way. When you say no to something, it's actually saying yes to something else. So those are 2 points that I really, really love. He goes into depth about them much more than I am going to right now. But I definitely recommend that if any of these points resonates with you, that you take a read of that book. You will be sure to love it. So I want to leave you with these few practical questions that you can ask yourself just to get started on prioritizing some of the things that you want to do. So I recommend you can do it right now. You can grab a piece of paper and a pen, and you're going to write down these 4 questions. So when you're thinking about all of the things that you have to do, your ETPs, your IAs, you also want to sort of walk through this checklist. So you want to ask yourself, what are some of the things that I don't want to do but need to do? So things that you don't want to do, but you actually need to do them, because those are important and you want to list those. What are some things that you want to do and need to do? So those are things that you might feel a little bit more fired up to do because you want to do them and you need to get them done as well. What are some things that you want to do but you don't need to do? Those are things that are going to go a little bit lower on your priority list. Sure, there are many things that we want to do, but we don't really need to do them. So if you want to think about that a little bit so that you can know where to place it as well. And then what are some things that you don't want to do and don't need to do? Those are things that should go on your delegation list for the most part. There are tons of things that we don't want to do, and we actually don't need to do them, but in some way they may need to get done. So you might want to delegate those or outsource them to someone else who can handle them a little bit better than we can. So you want to think about your support system. Who do you know who might be better at the task than you? Who do you know that you can hire to get certain things done? We don't have to do everything. What we need to do is to find the ways to make the time to do the things that we must do, because there are some of those, and the things that we want to do that are going to move us closer towards actually accomplishing our goals, dreams, and aspirations. So on that note, I'm going to leave you with that tip. Again, if you want to check out this book, Essentialism by Greg McKeown, you can find it with the link in the description. See you next time, and until then, be well.